Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the Cryptoverse. Today, we're going to talk about Bitcoin season versus altcoin season. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also check out the sale on Into the Cryptoverse Premium at intothecryptoverse.com. Link is in the description below. Let's go ahead and jump in. So there's obviously a lot of discussion as to whether we're in Bitcoin season or altcoin season. And one of the things that I want to mention is that Bitcoin season does not imply anything about the USD valuation of Bitcoin. It does not. All it implies is that Bitcoin is relatively outperforming the altcoin market. Whether that means Bitcoin's going up and the altcoin market is not going up as quickly, whether it means Bitcoin is going sideways and the altcoin market is going down, or whether it means Bitcoin's going down and the altcoin market is going down even quicker. Bitcoin season simply refers to the relative performance of Bitcoin with respect to the altcoin market. All right. Now, this altcoin season index essentially helps us to identify Bitcoin season versus altcoin season. And you can see right now, based on a 90-day ROI time frame, Bitcoin is outperforming about 38 of the top 50 coins. Okay. So I mean, if obviously Bitcoin's number one, out of the rest of the 39 or out of the rest of the 49 coins, Bitcoin is outperforming 38 of them over the last 90 days. Now, because of this index is coming in at 22.92, which of course is a relatively low level, which of course also indicates that we are in fact in Bitcoin season, right? This is of course what it indicates. Now, we have gotten a taste of Bitcoin season not too long ago, back in April and May, when it came down to around, if we come back down to these lower values over here, it went down to around 8 or 9, right? Now, we did not spend a very long period of time there. However, if we were to take a 30-day moving average to sort of clean some of this up, not too long of a moving average because then it would become too lagging, but just a 1-month SMA, what you'll notice is that every so often, the 30-day SMA of this index goes to really low values in terms of going into Bitcoin season, and it kind of goes down to around that 5 to 6 level. It went there in September of 2018, and it went there in December of 2020 and early 2021. Now, what's interesting is that we haven't really been to the deep value of Bitcoin season really since 2020, early 2021. I am under the impression that we will eventually go there before we can start to suspect at all that the altcoin market has finished devaluing on its Bitcoin pair. Now, one of the things to look at somewhat closely here is there are some similarities between this sort of double bottom on Bitcoin season right here that we had in 2022 and what we had back over here in 2019. Sort of like a move into Bitcoin season, but it wasn't sustained for very long. I'm suspecting that we still require this move, the move to much deeper value, which I think is likely coming here relatively shortly. If we take a look at not a moving average and switch the ROI time frame over to say 30 days, or let's go to 60 days first, you can see that the index is already down to 10. If you go down to 30 days, you can see that the index is already down to 2. Over the last 30 days, out of the top 50 coins, Bitcoin has outperformed all but one of them. Okay? So this shows you that the strength of this move by Bitcoin relative to the altcoin market, again, the USD valuation is completely irrelevant when we're talking about Bitcoin season versus altcoin season. It's down to 2. Okay? And it hasn't been that low in quite a while. The last time it was at 2, I suppose, was back over here in February of 2022. So more than a year ago. With this in mind, it implies that the index looking over 90 days will likely continue to move down, and looking at a moving average of it is likely going to have enough momentum to take out this prior low and hopefully to take out these lows here. Now, you can see that, again, the last two times that we went to deep value on Bitcoin season, it's only really happened twice, since we have this metric. One was when Bitcoin was going up. One was when Bitcoin was going up, and then when it was coming back down, and then sort of consolidating for a while. So we need to be aware that Bitcoin season can last for a while. If you look at this on a 30-day time frame, you'll notice, and we take out that moving average, you'll notice that over here we spent a long time in Bitcoin season, just like we did back over here in 2019 as well. So just because we've reached these levels doesn't mean we necessarily have to pop right back up like we did back in the summer of 2022. I do think there are a lot of people that just naturally assume that because Bitcoin has been doing well, that means the altcoin market's going to follow. But the reality is that likely it's not going to follow in the way that many people expect, and that Bitcoin can continue to outperform the altcoin market for several months to come. So I do want people to be aware that not every move by Bitcoin USD to the upside is followed by a commensurate move in the altcoin market. I've gotten burned in the past thinking that, and so I do think people should be careful there. In 2021 and 2020 and 2021, I did think altcoin season was going to come, and we have plenty of videos talking about that, going over the Ethereum tsunami and how Bitcoin was going to be was the Bitcoin dominance was likely going to go down because it was at 70%, and altcoins were likely going to explode, and that actually transpired. But just because it happened in 2021 and 2017 does not mean it happens every single time. There was a period in 2018 where Bitcoin went up a good bit, and then altcoins did not follow. There was a period in 2019 where Bitcoin went up, and then altcoins, while they followed somewhat on their USD pairs, they were very quick to give back those gains in the latter half of the year. So I do think people should be somewhat careful in assuming that the altcoin market would follow Bitcoin just because it happened in 2021. There's actually plenty of examples that you can look to show that the altcoin market does not always follow Bitcoin after these rallies, and therefore it's likely going to continue to lead to the devaluation of the altcoin market on their Bitcoin pairs. Of course, this is also going to tie into the Bitcoin dominance in general. If you guys remember the house TA from long ago, Bitcoin is knocking, and I know there's a lot of people that assume that this is going to come back down, back down this way. But I do think the odds are much more likely that this is going to break through. I think the relative uncertainty of regulation risk with regards to the altcoin market, not knowing if they're securities or not, and I think that the recession risk that, again, has not fully materialized but could materialize later this year, early next year, I think that altcoins will not provide refuge during that time, but Bitcoin could provide relative refuge. That doesn't mean that Bitcoin USD can't go back down, and I ultimately think it will go back down. But in terms of preserving, portfolio value in terms of Satoshis, Bitcoin, in my opinion, not financial advice, is where you want to be, right? And this is, again, is preserving Satoshi value. How do you do that in a market where the altcoin market is expected to just go down? It just means having altcoins does not really make a whole lot of sense in my view. And I've held this view since, really for 14, 15 months or so. And admittedly, it does cause you to miss out on some pretty great rallies in the altcoin market. But as long as you're okay just sort of sitting on the sidelines and waiting for the altcoin market to find that true deep valuation against Bitcoin, then you can sort of just write off these altcoin these sort of bear market rallies of the altcoin Bitcoin pairs to simply say, hey, you know what? They're likely going to eventually come back down. And the reality is that just because Bitcoin has moved back up to the top part of this range does not mean it cannot break through. Okay. It certainly could break through, and I'm anticipating on it breaking through. Now, I mean, it's possible that it comes back down and then breaks through. I mean, you can see there was some consolidation here. in 2022, 2023. There was some consolidation here in February and March. So it's always possible that it consolidates for a while and then breaks through. But it's not really a game that I want to play. I just in general think that Bitcoin will likely continue its ascent in terms of regarding its dominance. I think Bitcoin will continue its ascent. And once it breaks through, I mean, I think it can actually move to 60% quite quickly, as interesting, crazy as that might sound. It just takes, sort of breaking through this level to really sort of send this thing flying to much higher levels. I know a lot of people are not going to agree with that sentiment because all they've really known since they joined the Cryptoverse in 2021 is that it's within this range. But history really does show us that there is an ebb and flow to crypto, and the Bitcoin dominance, in my opinion, is the key to unlocking the secret of the Cryptoverse. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and again, check out the sale on Into the Cryptoverse Premium at intothecryptoverse.com. We, of course, do have several different tiers available. Make sure you check it out. You can lock in that rate. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.